I hate talking about Stephen A. Smith, but Stephen A. Smith, look, he got a lot of blowback past few weeks for the comments he made about with Jasmine Crockett. Recently he's gone after Michelle Beadle and Carrie Champion. Now, Michelle Beadle has been one of Stephen A. Smith's well outspoken critics outside of one Jason Lee Whitlock. Um, Michelle Beadle, she criticized Stephen A. Smith, particularly back in 2014, the controversial comments he made about Ray Rice, which led to his week suspension from ESPN. She recently said that, I pray for his downfall, even though that she's not a religious person. Stephen A. Smith had a lot to say about Michelle Beadle, and Carrie Champion basically did a viral video calling out Stephen A. Smith, saying, "Look, you're so quick to call out Jasmine Crockett and Jamel Hill. Are you going to keep the same energy? In other words, are you going to hold white women or white people to the same standard as you hold black women or black people?" And Stephen A. Smith basically said that you should be ashamed of yourself. And as a matter of fact, Stephen A. Smith claimed that he was the primary reason that Kerry Champion joined ESPN back in 2012 to work with First Take, along with him and Skip Bayless. So my thing was, look, I wanted to hear what Stephen A. Smith had to say regarding that. It's kind of reminiscent to me with what he had to say about Jason Whitlock, because for so long, Jason Whitlock had a lot to say about Stephen A. Smith regarding his book. And I felt like at a certain point in time, Stephen A. Smith had to say something. He can't just be silent. So now he finally had a lot to say. I kind of like what Stephen A. Smith had to say. I don't always feel sorry for him because a lot of times his mouth does get him into trouble, especially when he's not doing homework or research. And in fairness to him, champ, we talked about this prior to the show. He has called out people who are white. Remember, he called out Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
I mean, he also called out Will Kane. He also will call out some people here and there. My problem is with Stephen A. Smith. I do think his mouth, his personality does get him in a lot of trouble. I do think he needs to be more mindful. He needs to go back to journalism and reporting and doing the research. Like I said, champ, again, it's coming from Michelle Obama of all people. If Michelle Obama, the former first lady, is talking about ESPN like reality TV, like the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and saying that Stephen A. Smith would be an ideal housewife. And again, this is coming from Michelle Obama, not Barack Obama. Not to say that Michelle Obama doesn't know sports, but it's very rare that you hear her talk about sports. And for her, of all people, to say that, that resonates. So, like I said, Stephen A. Smith and other people in journalism, they need to go back to the journalism days. I used to miss the days of Michael Wilbon, Stuart Scott, rest his soul, John Clayton, rest his soul, Chris Morrison, rest his soul, reporting. Nowadays, it's just all about hot takes and stuff. That's why I get turned off. That's why I don't watch ESPN as much anymore. But as it pertains to him calling out Michelle Beadle, it's obvious jealousy and envy because Stephen A. Smith, like it or not, he is the face of that company alongside with Pat McAfee. He makes a ton of money. People love hearing what Stephen A. Smith has to say. He's controversial. He's unapologetic about that. Only when necessary, he will apologize. He will own up to his mistakes. But don't poke the bear. Just be careful who you poke because you don't know when that bear is going to retaliate. So I had no problem with what he had to say regarding his response to Michelle Beadle and Carrie Champion. I do think there comes a point in which you're going to have to say something about that. I still have issues looking at Stephen A. Smith the same because I still feel like if you're going to go on the air and discuss things, particularly with politics, like Roland Martin said, please do your homework or research and be exactly what you're known for being, which is a journalist, which is having the number one important component when it comes to journalism, and that's integrity. And that's reporting the facts, reporting the truth, rather than just giving opinions and assessments. But I'm glad that he had to say something about it. Whether anyone liked it or not, I'm just glad that he finally had something to say, because again, you can't keep holding it too long. Eventually you're going to have to say something, because by you not saying something about it, by you remaining silent, that means you're condoning, you're allowing them to say all these things about you. So BRF or champ, does anyone want to go?
I'll
Take
go.
it.
I'll go first this time. Are you
Go
sure?
ahead. Go ahead, BRF. My bad.
Okay. No, you good. Yeah, no, I'll take it. No, because like I kind of had a feeling we were going to touch this subject, so I kind of wanted to do a little research on the matter because I listened to Carrie Champion voice her opinion and say what she had to say. Because basically, Carrie Champion, yeah, like you said, Carrie Champion was coming from a place of like, keep that same energy. You kind of unleashed on Jasmine Crockett. She said you unleashed on Jamel Hill, and like I tried, I've never really heard him on air say anything as far as Carrie Champion is concerned. Because she said something in her piece saying that he kind of said something about her, and I don't think he never really said anything as far as Carrie Champion is concerned. But I will say this much: when Carrie Champion wasn't held by ESPN, you didn't really hear Stephen A. Yeah, he might have came out and was like, man, that was the reason you had the job. That was the reason you got the job. I was the reason, because you were at the tennis channel before you joined ESPN and you joined First Take. That was the
Right.
reason they brought you over. But I'm like, but it's like, yeah, you might have done that, but I mean, where were you to help her, preserve her job, what I'm saying? If you're gonna go to bat that much for saying, I got her there, maybe you should have did a little bit more to keep her there, because Carrie Champion was one of the best moderators he had on First Take. Carrie Champion was one of the better moderators he had on First Take. So I mean, that's not saying for less. Like, she was really good being a moderator for him and Skip Bayless. So I didn't really hear much as far as like him trying to preserve, keep her there. So I kind of get what Carrie Champion was coming from as far as that matter. And I agree to an extent, even though Stephen A. did come out and basically got at Michelle Beadle, even though he never really said by name, but we all knew who he was talking about at the time. We knew he was talking about Michelle Beadle. I felt like from Michelle Beadle's perspective, I think it's a little bit sour grapes from the standpoint of like Stephen A. Smith started as a journalist, and he was kind of like, I don't want to say like force fed into TV, but I mean he kind of jumped into it, and then he jumped into it, and immediately just he blew up, and he's where he's at now. Whereas Michelle Beadle had been kind of on the grind for a little bit, she did Sports Nation. She was, she had been on TV for a while, and she had never really got like that kind of. She never really got that push like that. So I kind of feel like I kind of feel like it's a little bit of sour grapes, a little bit of jealousy from her perspective. I always want to call him out every chance she can. Now, granted, whether you agree with everything he said or not, as far as the Ray Rice situation is concerned, I think Michelle Beadle's always kind of had that nose up kind of approach with Stephen A. Smith. And so I definitely don't blame Stephen A. Smith for going at her, but I will say this: I do kind of agree with Carrie Champion from a standpoint of the energy wasn't really the same. Like I said, he we knew some, but he didn't really he didn't put a name on it. He didn't put his chest into it. He didn't just flat out say Michelle Beadle and then just go into it. He kind of did it kind of generalized and didn't really state by name. Like with Jasmine Crockett, he let everybody know she was who he was talking about.
Stephen A. Smith
So
can be a
and
little slick.
like
Stephen A. Smith can be a little slick from time to
yeah,
time, BRF, because remember,
yeah,
we knew
exactly.
before he never mentioned Jason Whitlock's name, but what do you think he was referring to when he used the term fat bastard?
Oh, we
He
knew
was
exactly who he was talking about. We knew exactly who he was talking about. He called that man straight. He called that man straight up a fat POS. We knew exactly who he was talking about. We knew who he was talking about. So Stephen A. Smith could be a little. He could be a little sneaky underhand. He could be a little backhanded with it. We've seen it on multiple occasions. So, but I don't know. It's just a lot of it's a lot of unnecessary drama. It's just a lot of just Yeah, like what you said, PSP. I miss the days of Stuart Scott and John Anderson and Rich Eisen and Dan Patrick and just I miss those days where it was the highlights. It was all about the highlights. It was all about the journalism. It was all about putting sports on the main marquee. And nowadays it's just sports it's basically there for like it's a clickbaiter's dream is what it is nowadays, and it's not as fun as it used to be. So I just feel like all this is just like a whole bunch of unnecessary drama that we really have to hear about from the standpoint of like as far as ESPN is concerned, what else are we going to really get? They still air the games and all that stuff. We get Sports Center, we still get highlights, but honestly, like the sheer pure art of journalism, like where is that at with ESPN now? We're not getting it. So it's almost like ESPN's kind of like
it's an afterthought.
Bought into this. It is. It's bought into this new age world of just sheer, I don't know, outlandishness. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's like just.
But I kind of like it. You know why? You know why I kind of like it? To Champ's point, podcasting is the new HBO. Remember, Champ, how you talked about HBO, how it was, as far as doing all these things? Hey, podcasting is the new landscape. Because again, how do you think Michelle Obama would say ESPN is like reality TV? She had to be watching our podcast because we've been saying this for the longest about ESPN, Fox Sports, and all that stuff. Whether Michelle Obama admits it or not, hey, Michelle, you had to be watching our pod because, again, we've been saying the stuff about ESPN and so many networks nowadays because it's not going by actual factual journalism and reporting. It's just takes. It's just Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's like Love and Hip Hop. It's like The Real World. It's like the Kardashians. And I'm like, that's fine if I'm trying to Netflix and chill or something like that. But when I'm trying to watch ESPN, I'm trying to watch the actual sports, the reporting, the Scott Van Pelts, like I said, John Clayton, the Chris Wardson, the Stuart Scott, Chris Berman, the great Chris Berman with Tom Jackson. That's what I want to hear. But nowadays, we're just more interested in ridiculous, outlandish takes, and it takes away from the joy. And my thing is with Stephen A. Smith, I don't really have a problem with him saying it, like I said, because it's going to come a matter of time in which you're going to say it. Cam Newton had something to say about it on his 4th and 1 podcast. He does kind of like how the way Stephen A. when he does his podcast, how it's owned, how he controls it, kind of like how Cam controls 4th and 1. Now, look, my thing is with Michelle Beadle, it's obvious to your point, BRF, sour grapes, because you're just jealous and upset that your career didn't pan out the way didn't pan out the way you want, just like with Stephen A. with his career. Stephen A.'s career has panned out, is making a gazillion dollars. Although, in my opinion, I still wouldn't vote for him for president. He may try to run for president. I wouldn't vote for him. Neither would Champ. I don't know about you, BRF, but that's
I would honestly, the way the moves he's been making in the media as of late, as far as like certain takes and the way he's spoken out on politics and stuff like that, I wouldn't trust that man as far as I could throw him.
I wouldn't trust him. Same way I wouldn't trust the Washington Commanders trying to build a new stadium, and name it after our current president, which that's a story for another day. I don't trust that.
Whoa.
Big fella.
Yeah. Oof.
I had to throw that in there.
Well, after certain emails and came out, let's just say I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. No. I don't see that happening. I don't see that
happening. Don't do that. You'll get kicked off the damn L. You'll get kicked off the L.
Well, okay. Okay. I'll watch what I say. Okay, I'll be good, champ. I'll be good.
Shit, you gonna get kicked out the damn F.
Okay. My bad.
Yeah. Oh man. Shit. Look, number one, I don't have no problem with Stephen A. clapping back at everybody. I have no problem with it. And I don't like the false narrative that you don't ever check white reporters. Did he not check Clay Travis on the air? Because we know how controversial Clay Travis is about what he said about DEI back in 2024. Did he not say anything about that? Did he not say anything on Sean Hannity's show about integrity when it was involving the current president, the seating president, during the presidential election? Did he not say anything when it came to Kim Mulkey about how rude she was with the reporter when they lost in the Elite Eight when she asked, how many Final Fours have you been in? Did he not say anything? Even with the Colin Kaepernick situation, before that situation kind of turned sour, did he not speak up to a lot of his white constituents, including Will Cain? Did he not? We need to stop the false narratives. I understand that Stephen A is kind of an easy guy to hate because he's the face of corporate sports. He's the face of corporate sports. But we need to get out of the situation saying, well, he don't have this energy. Yes, he has. Clay Travis is probably one of the most controversial journalists that we've ever seen. He's the one that came out and said after the Las Vegas Aces went back-to-back in the W before Caitlin Clark, he's the one who said, I can find a high school team to be the WNBA champions. He's the one that said that. So he's one of the kings of the hot takes. So the thing is, look, I will say this. If you don't want me to say anything about you, stay off my radar. Don't come around here breathing my air just because you want to say something and let yourself be known. I understand that, guess what? Hey, we can say whatever we want to about Stephen A. Smith, but guess what? He didn't say anything about the First Lady. He didn't say anything until she came out and said something. He didn't say anything about Jason Whitlock until he came out and kept saying something. He didn't say anything about Michelle Beale until she kept poking the bear. The only person that you can really say Stephen A. Smith is like, bro, you were dead ass wrong for that, was Jasmine Crockett. And he apologized. And the thing is this, if you ever notice, black journalists, we're the only damn ones beefing in the damn media. Because, oh, you don't have that smoke for so-and-so. Your memory must be short. Because I remember him checking Will Cain directly on First Take. I remember him checking Clay Travis. And I'm not a Stephen A. fan, but I remember all of this. So all of this, just because you are of my race, that you don't deserve to be checked about something, guess what? That's not true. Black journalists, you don't never hear any other journalists of any other nationalities going at each other in the media other than black journalists. Well, you don't have that smoke for so-and-so. Probably because they're not mentioning my damn name. Have you heard Skip Bayless come out and talk about Stephen A. Smith in a bad way? No. Have you heard Max Kellerman, although he has every reason to say something bad about Stephen A. Smith, have you heard him come out and say anything bad about Stephen A.?
Neither is Brian Windhorst. No. Neither is Brian Windhorst.
Brian Windhorst, no.
Rachel Nichols?
No.
Not to my knowledge.
So everybody who is, you don't have smoke for, okay, these cats ain't talking about me. You are. Maybe if y'all stop talking about me, maybe I have some smoke for somebody else. But right now, we're talking about you. I got smoke for you because you're talking about me. I'm not talking about you. That's the thing. It'd be like somebody talking about, it'd be like me, us making it big and me talking about BRF. Like, what the hell is that? Like, really? You couldn't have called nobody or said anything like that? That's the thing. You don't have smoke for all of these white guys. Okay, these white guys are not talking about me. Move on. They're not talking about me. Guys who have Max Kellerman has every reason to go out to the media and blast Stephen A. because he has openly admitted that he got rid of him. He's openly admitted that he got rid of Max Kellerman. Did he not, BRF?
I mean, it pretty much came out. He was like one of the main kind of talking points as far as why Max Kellerman's not here.
Exactly. And Stephen A came out and openly admitted that he was the reason why Max was no longer on the show. And Max Kellerman has every reason to say something. Skip Bayless. Nobody is saying anything. Y'all are saying stuff about me. So that's why I got all the smoke about you. It's kind of like being...
We haven't even heard anything from Molly Qerim as well either.
Exactly. We haven't heard from any of these guys or women. I will say, I'm not trying to be sexist. We haven't heard anything from anybody who has worked with Stephen A at this point, outside of African American journalists. Everybody else has been relatively silent. Like I said, Max Kellerman has every reason to come out and blast Stephen A. He has every reason to blast him. He has every reason to say something, but he hasn't. So all of this, you don't have smoke for the white journalists because they're not talking about me. And when they come out and they say something, I address it and I move forward. You can't expect me to give you preferential treatment just because you of my race. You say something about me, guess what? I'm going to come at you. Like I stated, the only problem I had is with the whole Jasmine Crockett situation. He didn't have to say anything at all about that situation, especially if you're not doing your research about it. Guess what? Okay.
But you also have a problem with what he said about LeBron, especially how he falsely claimed LeBron did not attend Kobe's memorial.
Yes, and that situation, a few situations, yes. But as far as, well, you don't have smoke for this, okay, they're not talking about me.
But why?
None of my white constituents are talking about me. None of them. It's always y'all. It's always y'all, you know what's talking about me as a black man. But then when I clap back and I say what I have to say, well, you got all the smoke. Yeah, because them ain't talking about me. Yous is. So stop with this whole thing of I want to be a victim that bad when you get clapped on. Because the thing is, we were taught at an early age down south, don't pass no lick if you can't take one.
Right.
Or
so if you don't want
your ass can't cash.
That too. Because sometimes the checks are huge. And sometimes you can get overdrafted.
Or bounce.
So you can get overdrafted and end up in a negative balance. So the thing is this. If you want me to have smoke for all of these other journalists, I will wait until they're talking about me. When they're talking about me, I'll come out and I'll blast them just like I would anybody else. But it's never my white constituents who are talking about me. It's always you blank blanks. So let's just leave it at that. You can't come out here. And like I stated, outside of Jasmine Crockett and LeBron, guess what? No, guess what? What has he said about Cari Champion? I went and did all types of research. Nope. What did he say about Jemele Hill? Nope.
He didn't really have any negative things to say about any of them. It's
exactly.
Just that my thing is with Cari Champion, why did you have to bring race into the equation? Now, it's easy to look at Stephen A. Smith because, again, he's perceived by a lot in the black community as a sellout, fraud, and a lot of other things. But, look, my thing is, when he had finally something to say about Jason Whitlock, when he referred to him as fat bastard, we know it was Jason Whitlock. And this is why, Champ, and I will say this, because you've often said on my pod, as well as your pod, your biggest fear is to be compared to Jason Whitlock. Brother, I'm here to tell you that is something you will never, ever worry about. And BRF can confirm that as well.
1,000%.
Like I said, the day I would compare it, this mic will be retired.
No.
I'm not making another pod.
No. You work too damn hard. You gonna grind. You're going to keep on doing this. And if you quit, I'm gonna find a way to get Ace, Mama Champ, and Papa Champ to convince you not to stop, because I would hate for them to see you throw away everything you worked hard for. But trust me, Stephen A. Smith finally had to say something about it. As far as with, look, it's obviously jealousy and envy because they wish they would have the career that Stephen A. Smith had. Stephen A. Smith not only is commenting on sports, he's commenting on politics. Although I wish he would do some research, he's doing a lot of things. He wants to be like Jimmy Kimmel, have his own reality show. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Stephen A. Smith, he wants to do a lot of things, whether have his own late night show, whether run for president, a lot of things. Stephen A. Smith does have personality. He has a big mouth. He dresses the part. He looks the part. He has a lot of connections. He does sell. So of course you're gonna say something about it with jealousy, but when you criticize him and when he finally takes the time to respond, expect it. And if you want to respond back to what he said, that's fine. Champ and I, we don't have a problem with it, but expect what you do.
My thing is this: there's another guy on ESPN that is venturing into politics, just like Stephen A. There's a guy by the name of Paul Feinbaum, the voice of the SEC at this point. Do you hear any of his white constituents talking about him? Do you hear any of them?
I don't pay attention to what Paul Feinbaum says.
Well, I'm an SEC guy, so he's the voice of the voice of the SEC. So when he said he was going to go into politics or what have you, you heard none of his white constituents say anything negative about that. We're the only ones that every time one of our guys say he's going to the politics, we say one thing, he say one thing we don't disagree with, all of a sudden he's a sellout. And again, Stephen A., the reason like I said, I'm not a big fan of his. I will honestly say that I'm not a big fan of his. But the thing is, they say, well, you don't have this smoke for your white constituents. Well, okay, because they're not talking about me. They're not talking about each other in the media. They're not talking about each other in the media outside of sports. The only time that I ever heard somebody say something derogatory about somebody as far as a white constituent saying something about another one is when Todd Lachey, he came on the air and just ethered somebody. I forget who the guy was that he just flat out ethered, but he came out and just ethered somebody just recently. But other than that, you don't hear that on the other side of it.
Champ, I gotta tell you, Champ, it was Paul Feinbaum that he ethered.
Yes. And so he ethered that, but to my point, that's the only time that's the only time that you see the white constituents, them going at each other when it's related to sports or take that they have as far as sports is concerned. You don't see that among them. Oh, the minute I
always us.
Yeah,
and we see it far too often.
The minute I disagree with something that you say, whether it's sports and especially politics, oh, you're so all of a sudden. No, I just said something that you disagree with.
Right.
Again, it doesn't make me a sellout, especially with all of the shit that I'm doing with these HBCUs, putting them on the map every single week. Stephen A. is responsible for the HBCUs being on ESPN. For them
he went to a HBCU in Winston-Salem State University. And exactly. On top of that, what he and Cam Newton have done as far as with the HBCUs.
Yes. So it's a lot of positive things that he's doing. The African-American journalists, trying to get more African-Americans on ESPN. So he's done a lot of positive things. And like I said, I'm not the biggest Stephen A. Smith fan.
But
I'm not.
Two things can be true.
But two things can be true. Like I said, exactly. You can't sit around here and say, well, you don't have smoke for this person. It's just like me and BRF arguing, and I tell him, well, you ain't got smoke with that for PSP. Well, PSP ain't saying shit about me, you idiot. You is. I'm just saying.
That's because PSP doesn't get involved with
I'm just
situations.
using that as an
I know
example.
you.
It's
I know
just
you're
like
using me as an
you're
example, but
I'm like,
PSP.
yeah, you ain't got that smoke for him because he's not saying anything about me. You idiot, you are. And you keep talking, and that's the thing. Everybody wants to have you ain't got that smoke for them because they're not talking about me. You are. I
Remember
don't
what
blame
you always
nobody
told.
for I don't blame
Remember what you
nobody for
always.
clapping back and defending their name. If somebody say something about PSP, I don't blame them for either saying something about them or tracking them down and punching them in the mouth. So that's the thing. When somebody is attacking you and you are easy target, like I said, he's an easy target because he's the poster boy of ESPN. But the thing is, you have never ever seen any of the white constituent journalists sit in the media and just go at each other and just be beefing in the media. They don't do that shit. We need to stop doing that shit. It's a bad look. Of
No,
course, you may
a
not
bad look would be an understatement. It's horrible.
exactly. And so you beefing with somebody in the media, especially the face of ESPN, guess what? That's a bad look. And the thing is, you can't look, and I hate to quote Emmanuel Acho, but you can't be the big bad wolf and then want to holler victim. You don't have this smoke. Well, they're not talking about me. You are. If you stop talking about me, maybe I'll stop having smoke. But you're not going to go.
Although I had no problem with what Emmanuel Acho had to say about Stephen A. Smith regarding the Chris Greer situation. That was
Yeah.
No, it was
Again,
fair. No, he was fair.
it was
I mean,
fair.
he was factual. But to your point, champ, we got to stop doing that. But as you always told me, champ, no matter how far you can go, you've said this yourself, big fella. 1,000 attaboys is always erased by all one shit.
Yes. But the thing is, like I said, it's always going to be erased. But the thing is, you cannot discount that. And guess what? My white constituents are not saying anything about me. Clay Travis is not attacking me in the media. Sean, whatever the hell his name is,
Sean Hannity.
he's not attacking me in the media. Tammy Lauren is not attacking me in the media. You cats are, and you're wondering why I'm getting pissed off and going on the air defending myself about it. You can't get me. Look, if you're gonna sit around here and trip me up in class, you can't get mad at me when I hit you over the head with the lunch tray. That's just the bottom line. And if you're gonna keep talking about me, you're gonna keep saying certain things about me, then guess what? I'm going to clap back. And the thing is, it's quite ironic when he said something about Jason Whitlock and everybody was sitting back and amening and everything like that. But the minute somebody else who is more likable than Jason said something, all of a sudden, you got a lot of smoke. No, I have smoke for blank blanks who got smoke for me. If you are not breathing my airspace, you ain't on my radar. But if you got smoke for me and you want to feel and you want to bring down the thunder in the great words of Wyatt Earp, from Tombstone in the OK Corral, if you want to bring down the thunder, you're going to get it. I don't care who you are. In the great words of Noriega, it don't matter if you're skinny or fatter. You're going to get it. Do not sit around here try to breathe my airspace and then want to talk about, well, you don't have smoke for this guy. No, because they ain't messing with me. You is. You're messing with me. So when I clap back or say what I have to say and roast you in the media, much like you try to do with me, then guess what? Take that on the chin and then move forward. But my white constituents are not saying anything about me. You are. So when you say something about me, be prepared for the consequences that I'm going to take out upon you. You are not allowed to attack me and then I not say anything. I understand that we live in a society that is dominated by TikToks, by you saying that, hey, you're not supposed to say anything when anybody attack you, especially when the opposite gender attacks you in the media. You're not supposed to say anything. That's deemed sassy. But guess what? I'm worth over damn near $100 million. You really think I'm finna let you attack me in the media and I have the platform to fight back? Hell no. That ain't the way it work. Don't pass no lick. You won't get licked.
Mhm.
And in the great words of the young bloods and Lil Jon, don't start no,
won't
don't
be
be
no.
no. That's the game.
Look, when you do something like that, what do you expect? I mean, look, it's kind of like with rap. If you diss out somebody, you know that person is gonna respond back. So I don't have a problem with what Stephen A. Smith had to say. To your point, Champ, I'm not a big Stephen A. Smith fan, or not anymore. But I do think there comes a point when you have to say something. If you continuously remain silent, then you're part of the problem because you're just allowing people to say all these things about you. I am glad that Stephen A. Smith finally had to say something about it. But like I said, it's like with Jason Whitlock. When he criticized them, and finally when Stephen A. Smith finally had enough, I was glad he had to say it. And I think he probably didn't want to react or say it at first. It's because obviously I'm better than who he is. Why am I even wasting my time trying to respond to someone like him? But it comes a point where enough's enough. I tried to take the high road, and you continuously disrespect me, just all in an effort for whatever you're trying to do. Get your views, get your ratings, or whatever, how you earn a living. At some point in time, fuck all that. I have to say something. Kerry Champion, I mean, I like Kerry Champion, but I don't understand why you had to try to. No, I won't go there. All I'm saying is this with Kerry Champion: just be careful what you ask for. You asked Stephen A. to keep the same energy, and you got the response from Stephen A. Smith. I do understand from BRF's point. Hey, Kerry Champion is one of the best moderators doing her time on First Take and on ESPN. So when she departed, could Stephen A. Smith? It definitely would have helped on Stephen A. Smith's part to keep Kerry Champion on First Take and for her to still remain on ESPN. Look, when you do something like that, eventually you're poking the bear, and the bear is going to respond.